everyone, Karen the Warp Spinster here. Thank you for joining me. Welcome to my channel. And a special welcome to anyone new who might be joining me. You are joining us in sort of mid-quilt here, but they're sort of standalone things anyway. I'm going to be doing some more on Brillig that has the slidey toves in it. Started out with a concept that was sort of an arbor in a garden to go with things from my Jack and the Beanstalk pieces, but it shifted from that. So now we're doing Brillig with slidey toves. And I've got a couple slidey toves, a few more in my brain that I might do. And they never turn out as I see them in my brain, which is pretty good, actually. Don't mind that at all. Today, things may be a little choppy. They're still doing construction next door. No idea what. I think they're doing retaining wall and concrete steps today. Not certain, but there is the occasional burst of construction, the musical next door. I will try to avoid it as much as I can. I apologize ahead of time once again. So I want to do another sort of straight liney mostly thing today, and we'll use the fabrics that I've been using up to this point. It's a limited palette and mostly solids, but it's kind of good to work that way sometimes. Don't mind that. So what I'm picturing is something straight line, vertical, and then has some horizontal things coming off of it. It may end up being a little bit curved at the end. The lines may, the cross pieces may in fact turn out to be a little bit curved. That might be fun, wouldn't it? Maybe we'll do that. We'll try that with some straight pieces. I don't know. I'm trying to bear in mind, a couple of you have commented that you would like to maybe see some black. And that was specifically in relation to the slidey tove from last week. But I'm trying to keep in mind that I'm still going to do that black and white striped vine with the black and white leaves in silhouette, basically. So I want those to be the black and white focused rather than having other pieces. And, you know, there may turn out to be some black circles on there like berries or I don't know what, but that's why I'm sticking with this instead of black and white striped things, which of course I usually do. So I'm looking at these colors and fabrics. I'd like to bring this stripe in somewhere as an accent. These will probably be the main colors, the verticals, and then the whites will be the pieces coming off them, or vice versa. No, these will be the pieces. Again, I'm trying to make the white more of an accent kind of bits and pieces here rather than the background, which is how I usually use white. So it's a bit of a change for me, and I have to change my focus a bit. Before I forget, I'm afraid I will forget if I don't say this now. There will be no video next week. My week is just jam-packed with quilt retreats and classes and appointments and all kinds of things. So no video next week. My apologies. I will see you the week following that, though. I'll just watch. The construction next door will cease for a week and be back when I'm back to film. But all right, so I'm going to proceed with just some vertical pieces. You know what? I might do something like a couple vertical pieces with a very narrow strip of this in between. Let me think about this, because I really want the pieces to be... Nope, it's all right. I think it'll be okay. I think it'll be all right. So I'm just... Bear with me. So I'm just going to cut some strips here and see how I feel about putting them together, and then we'll add in the white and the cross pieces and maybe some curves we don't know yet. Apparently I am bringing in every color in the palette. See how it goes. This will be just a very narrow stripe. When I put this in, it will be just 1/4 inch wide. And these are not cut parallel edges, of course. And these two then will be where I start introducing the white strips. It occurs to me, all right, I need to put this together first because all of this may impact this in the end. Who knows? You know, our new tagline is cut and sew and see what happens. Current thoughts. This piece to go here, and this white strip is going to have a little sliver of this in it. I have a longer piece I'll put in here. And I think that to tie it in with what I did before with an arbor kind of thing, I'm going to cut across this with white, but I think I'll have a narrow strip of yellow in it, in the middle of it. And some of them will cut across just this strip. Some will cut across all of these. I don't know, there may be, what, 3? And then on this side, it will be cutting into the green. But I think I want to do curves. We'll see how that goes. Not big curves, just slight curves. But let me get started on this. So first of all, I need to sew. No, I don't. I need to do a cut through here, which will have the white with a little strip of yellow in the middle. Anyway, I'll do it and I'll come back. In the end, I opted to reverse this piece just to add a little something. I am rethinking the concept of having a strip through here. I think I'm going to leave this plain, and then some curved pieces will come in here. While I was rooting around in, they're here somewhere, in my yellow stash, I kept pulling out pieces. Well, this will be big enough to do this, and it'll be big enough to do that, and I ended up with pulling out some curved pieces, which I think I will use when we are doing pieces coming off of here. So this will be encased in white, so it'll just be a sliver through white, and we can follow that curve. Actually, we can do it probably several times out of this piece, given the size. I found some other curves that I'm going to have to do something with. Yellow is my limiting factor in terms of amount of fabric that I have, so I want to be kind of careful with what I do with the yellow. So this piece can go on here now, and that section will be finished for the moment. And then this one, I'll start working now on some curves, white with this yellow in the middle, and then those will come off of here through this green. I am ready to start on the curve, and I'm going to use a reasonably narrow white strip just to remind me I don't want this to be very wide. And just follow this curve, and then do a similar, although perhaps not exactly the same curve, here, and do another piece down here. And we'll see what it looks like. We don't have much of a curve on the yellow, but we can make more of a curve when we insert it into the green here. I'm wondering how many of these I really want to do. I'm keeping in mind that I've got this viney thing going through, and how much do I want that to be covered up? I could also just put in a couple of narrow white strips without any fill in it, which is a good possibility. This piece has just the slightest bit of a curve in it because these were not parallel lines, so when I flipped these over, it ended up being a bit of a curve here, but it's not much at all, and I was aware of that when I sewed it, and I'm happy with that. So I'm going to go ahead and cut a curve and insert this, And, oh, by the way, if you haven't been with me for long, I will try to remember to post a link to how I do improv curves, so you can catch up on that. And if you've heard it before 10,000 times, you don't have to listen again. So I think this will be in the middle, or do I want it more toward the bottom? This will be long enough once I do the inserts. Toward the bottom, and then have the lighter ones at the top. I might do that. All right, so this is going to go maybe down here, and then a white one here and there. All right, I'm off to do that. We have quite an interesting piece here. I'm kind of a little in love with it. It's kind of wonky. I don't care. So what I want to do is sort of cut along whatever curves are here. Get rid of some of these strings, assuming I can find my cutter. All right, so we've got a bit of a curve here. Follow that curve. Well, that didn't go as expected or wished. There we go. So we have that side, and now this side, I don't want it to be too crazy a curve because I want to match it up with that white. So this I need to be quite a gentle sort of curve, which is going to be tricky down here, but I may end up losing some white down here. All right, so I'm going to clean this mess up. And then I will cut a curve to match this. And completely different from what I had pictured in my brain. This is nothing new. And then we'll think about something over here. It may be a pretty plain piece over here. Seems like we've got a lot of work for just a narrow strip here. Maybe we'll put it up against some of the others and try the vine on it. Not every piece can be a star, you know how that goes, but it still has some nice piecing in it. It's got pops of color through it, but then also some places where your eye can rest a little bit. And if I put, say, a piece of yellow over here, then that will be more of a resting point for the eye. Do I want to do another white strip in there before I do yellow, do you think? We'll try that out after I cut and sew that curve. I am bearing in mind that yellow is my limiting factor here, so perhaps I want green over here, and it's going to look pretty plain, but I anticipate the leaf business going through there. So I'm going to cut some green that will follow this curve, except I might make it a little deeper right there, a little more curved. And we'll take it from there. There could be, however, all right, I'll do this first and then we'll talk about that. Here is our piece. I couldn't do it. I had to splice some white in there. It's just too much of a solid color for this particular quilt anyway. Now, this, if you recall, I think I said this, that I really want this piecing to be kind of the background for doing these silhouette leaves. So it is all right that we've got some blank space there. And if you recall, I think I didn't I do this on a previous one? What do I know? Also have some white circles. But hey, what if we did a little polka dot thing? This is going to, of course, fit on somewhere else with something else. And so we can probably have, did I run out of these? I ran out of these. this would overlap onto another space. And I think that could be kind of fun. This might end up being a smaller circle, I don't know. But it's another background piece we can use, and it has some kind of fun things in here, this hourglass curve and just some lattice work. So even though it's background piece, I want some structure to it and something that ties it together. So this is, you know, garden arbor kind of things. So it's all right. I mean, it's not a flashy piece, but we've got a flashy slidey tove now. So I'm perfectly happy with this piece. Took a fair amount of work and time for having just this small piece, but I like having these just narrow pops of color in the white, and the white itself is a pop of color in it. So I'm happy with this piece. I have in mind slidey tove, another slidey tove. Maybe we'll work on that next week. Maybe I'm not going to have time next week to do anything. So in 2 weeks, not next week. Reminder, no video next week. And I have a couple of updates for you before we go. First of all, I'm making progress on beach glass. I have just a few more grains of sand to scatter up in the corner, but it mostly is, well, not mostly is, it all is moving along fairly well. I still haven't decided if I'm appliquing the circles by machine or hand or a combination thereof. I don't know. I'll figure that out when I get the circles finished and basted on. And I am making progress also finally on my Pipe Dreams quilt. Pattern's ready to go, but has been for a while. But I was waiting for Betty, my new long arm machine, who's been here a while. Millie, who was Molly's digital assistant, blitzed out on me. I think she missed Molly or something, but I had to order a new tablet, so I've been waiting for that. And that arrived last week. I got started on quilting the pipes part of it. Still thinking about the background, what I want to do. There are two choices, and either one would be fine. But I have some more quilting to do. I'm learning some things about Betty, and she's learning some things about me. We're having conversations, so it's going well. I'm learning what threads she likes and doesn't like, and it's going pretty well. It's going a little slowly as we learned, but it will pick up, and pretty happy to be back and quilting again. That will be it for this week. In 2 weeks, we'll do, I don't know, another slidey tove, something else here or something else entirely. Who knows? You know how we cut and sew and see what happens. I have, of course, unearthed a lot of curved pieces that happened while I was doing other parts of Brillig. So it may just be putting some of those together and seeing what happens. So I hope I will see you then in a couple of weeks. In the meantime, be well, be safe, be happy, be quilting. Peace out.